Oh, this one's nasty. Bommal the Dreadhorn is basically the Doom Tower's angry landlord, and he's gatekeeping the cursed city of Cintranos like it's his personal stomping ground. If you've been smashing your head on his mechanics and wondering why your shiny teams keep getting vaporized, this video is for you. I'm gonna walk you through the fight step by step, break down the sneaky mechanics Bommal loves to abuse, and then show you several plug-and-play teams. Yes, the actually reliable ones that will make this boss feel a whole lot smaller. High energy, zero fluff, just smart strategies, team builds, and the exact tips you need to stop rage quitting and start clearing. Let's get Bommal the Dreadhorn taken down. Ready? Let's go. All right, so here's the deal. I know there are a bunch of different stages and difficulty levels where you'll run into Bommal. And trust me, he only gets nastier the higher you go. So here's what we're gonna do. I'll break down the best strategies you can actually rely on, and then I'll hook you up with 2 complete team setups. One that'll crush the normal difficulty, and another built specifically for the hard mode nightmare. That way, no matter where you're stuck, you'll have a smooth, stress-free time taking this big horned menace down. Before we jump into the actual video, I gotta tell you, I've been diving into another insane RPG game right here on the channel. So if you've been thinking about checking out Raid Shadow Legends, or maybe starting a fresh account, this is the perfect time to do it. Just use my special link down in the description. You'll start off strong with Elenaril as your sign-up legendary, and Michelangelo as your 7th day reward. And here's the best part. If you use the promo code Dessert Queen, you'll also get 2 Hanorok, another crazy legendary champion, completely free. And that's not all. They've even tossed in some awesome epic champions as you level up. So seriously, what are you waiting for? Go grab Raid using the link below, jump in and support the channel. All right, now let's get into the video. Let's talk about why Bommal the Dreadhorn is such a nightmare. Because man, this boss isn't just tough, he's straight up sadistic. The biggest challenge when fighting Bommal is simple, staying alive long enough to actually fight back. Every single part of his kit is designed to punish you for doing what you'd normally do in other boss fights. First off, the dude hits like a truck. His basic attacks alone chunk through even your tankiest champions, and on top of that, he gives himself this increased attack buff that you can't remove. That's right, it's unremovable, which means his already scary damage can spike into what just happened to my team territory real fast. Then there's his Rain of Bombs ability, which is where things start getting unfair. This move wipes all your buffs, block debuffs, shields, increased defense, all gone, and replaces them with bomb debuffs that are about to blow your whole team sky high. So unlike other Doom Tower bosses where you can stack buffs to survive, here, Bommal laughs at your buffs and just turns them into ticking time bombs. But it gets worse. Every single time you try to place a debuff on Bommal, whether it's a poison, weaken, decrease attack, anything, he automatically retaliates by placing a bomb debuff on the champion who did it. And here's the kicker. That bomb cannot be blocked or removed. So if your game plan is to spam poisons or control debuffs, you're basically signing your own team's death warrant. And when those bombs explode, oh, it doesn't stop there. Every explosion has a 25% chance to stun your other champions. So even if someone barely survives the blast, they might end up stunned and unable to react before the next wave of destruction hits. But the real chaos comes from the Dreadbombs he summons throughout the fight. These little walking bombs are time bombs with legs. Every time they explode, they deal a massive 40% of your team's max HP as damage. Not current HP, max HP. So it doesn't matter how tanky your team is, these things can and will blow your entire squad up. And here's the extra cruel twist. If you try to control Bommal's turn meter to slow him down, he gets mad and summons even more Dreadbombs. So trying to play it safe just makes things worse. So yeah, between the unremovable buffs, self-bomb retaliation, team-wide detonations, and stun chains, Bommal isn't just strong. He's designed to punish every normal strategy you'd use in Raid Shadow Legends. That's why this boss feels impossible the first few times. He forces you to completely rethink your usual team setups and playstyle. But don't worry, I got you. In the next parts, we're gonna go over exactly how to outsmart this bomb-happy menace and build teams that actually make him explode before you do. All right, Let's dive into strategy number 1, the resistance build. And this one's all about outsmarting Bommal rather than trying to overpower him. See, Bommal's whole game plan is to overwhelm you with bomb debuffs and strip away your buffs so your team just crumbles. So instead of playing into that chaos, this strategy flips the script. The goal here is to resist everything he throws at you. Now, here's the important detail a lot of players miss. Bommal's bomb debuffs cannot be blocked or removed, but, and this is huge, they can be resisted. That means if your team's resistance is high enough, those bombs never even land in the first place. And that's massive, because it not only saves your team from the ticking explosions, but it also protects all your defensive buffs. Things like shields, increased defense, block debuffs, and so on. The higher your resistance, the longer your buffs stay up, and the longer your champions stay alive. But there's a catch, and it's a big one. Bommal's accuracy is insane. On stage 90 of Hard Doom Tower, he's rocking a terrifying 750 accuracy, which means if your resistance isn't through the roof, you're basically guaranteed to get bombed. So here's the math. To consistently resist Bommal's debuffs, you'll want your team's resistance to be at least 150 points higher than his accuracy. That means for stage 90 hard, you're looking at around 900 resistance to safely counter that 750 accuracy. Yeah, it's a tall order, but there are smart ways to make it much more manageable. You've got 2 main tricks to pull this off. 1, decrease accuracy on Bommal to lower his accuracy so you don't need as much resistance. 2, increase resistance on your team so you boost your resistance stat without having to grind for god tier gear. Let's break that down with an example. If you can land a 50% decrease accuracy debuff on Bommal, his accuracy drops from 750 to 375. That means you only need 525 resistance to reliably resist him. Way more achievable. Now, if you also run a 50% increase resistance buff on your team, that means you can hit that 525 mark with only 350 base resistance in your gear. So instead of needing a miracle build, you just need a solid setup with the right buffs. So who helps make this strategy work? Whirlim. Frost King is an absolute MVP here. His A2 brings a reliable decrease accuracy debuff, which instantly takes the pressure off your resistance requirements. On top of that, his other skills give you defensive buffs, helping your team tank through the fight. Ola is another gem for this strat. She brings that clutch increase resistance buff, plus tons of healing and sustain to keep your squad alive when things get messy. And when you combine those with champions that can handle support and sustain, the strategy really starts to shine. Here's a sample resistance team that's proven to work beautifully. Siphi the Lost Bride. She brings an insane resistance aura to boost your whole team's base stats and gives continuous healing and revives, keeping your run safe and steady. Geomancer, your main damage dealer, since his passive reflects damage and absolutely melts bosses like Bommal over time. Tagoar Epic, another solid option for applying decrease accuracy and providing defensive buffs. Krisk the Ageless, a walking fortress. He provides team protection, buff extension, and extra debuffs to help with control. Vogoth, your team's healer, absorbing damage and restoring HP whenever enemies attack. Now here's the cool part. When you keep that decrease accuracy debuff constantly active on Bommal, this team can reliably resist him even with around 445 total resistance, mainly because Siphi's aura gives you a nice plus 80 boost right off the bat. So the strategy in simple terms: keep Bommal's accuracy down, keep your team's resistance up, let your sustain champs do the heavy lifting. Let Geomancer chip away until the Dreadhorn finally blows himself up. It's a slower, more methodical approach, but it's safe, reliable, and consistent, especially for high Doom Tower stages. Instead of surviving by luck, you're surviving by design, and Bommal absolutely hates that. Alright, so let's move into strategy number 2, the heal and freeze method, which is perfect for those times when building massive resistance just isn't realistic. This strategy basically says, fine, Bommal, you want to strip my buffs? Then I just won't bring any. The idea here is to run a team that doesn't rely on buffs at all. Because remember, Bommal's whole gimmick is turning your buffs into bombs with his Rain of Bombs ability. So if you walk into the fight buff-free, he's got nothing to convert, and that alone cuts out a huge chunk of his damage potential. Now, the question becomes, how do you actually survive without buffs like increased defense or shields? That's where passive healing comes in. Champions who can heal your team without casting buffs are absolute gold for this strategy. Vrask is one of the best here. Every time he lands a crit, he heals your entire team based on his max HP. So as long as he's hitting, everyone's staying healthy. Vogoth is another top-tier pick. His passive heals your allies whenever he takes damage, and since Bommal loves hitting hard and often, Vogoth will be doing a lot of passive healing for free. That combo of constant, buff-free healing means you can keep your team alive through the explosions without feeding Bommal more ammo. Now, a big warning for this setup. You do not want to bring champions who mess with Bommal's turn meter. I know. Turn meter reduction works wonders in other boss fights, but here, it's a disaster. See, every time Bommal's turn meter gets decreased, he summons extra Dreadbombs, and those little guys are way too dangerous to deal with consistently. They explode for 40% of your team's max HP, and the more that spawn, the faster your team evaporates. So yeah, no Cold Heart, no Armiger, and absolutely no Evil Eye Mastery, because that mastery also reduces enemy turn meter on your first hit. If you accidentally trigger it, you're just spawning extra bombs and making the fight harder for yourself. Now, here's where things get interesting. The freeze debuff. This is one of the most underrated mechanics in this fight. If you can freeze the Dreadbombs, they actually deal half damage when they explode, dropping from a brutal 40% max HP down to a much more manageable 20%. That's a massive difference in survivability. So, if you can slot in a reliable freeze champion, that can completely change the pace of the fight. Every frozen Dreadbomb explosion becomes something your healers can easily patch up instead of an instant team wipe. And with more and more freeze-based champions being added to the game recently, this strategy is getting stronger by the patch. Pair a couple of strong healers like Vrask or Vogoth with a good freeze unit, and suddenly Bommal's terrifying Dreadbombs start to feel like nothing more than mild fireworks. So yeah, if you can't go full resistance, the heal and freeze method is the next best thing. It's clean, it's reliable, and it turns Bommal's explosive tantrum into a chill little light show. Alright, let's wrap this up with strategy number 3, going full offense. Because, honestly, when it comes to Bommal, sometimes the best defense really is a brutal offense. This boss is so ridiculously punishing that trying to outlast him can feel like a losing battle. So instead of surviving the chaos, the idea here is to end the fight before Bommal gets the chance to blow up your entire team. The faster he dies, the fewer bombs you have to deal with. Simple as that. And when it comes to nuking Bommal into dust, there's one name that always comes up first: Geomancer. This guy is straight up the MVP for this fight. His passive ability reflects damage back to Bommal whenever your team gets hit, and since Bommal loves to spam team-wide attacks, he basically ends up melting himself through Geomancer's passive. Every time Bommal takes a swing, he's digging his own grave. So if you've got a Geomancer built with good HP, accuracy, and survivability, you're already halfway to victory. But Geomancer's not the only one who can bring the pain. Bommal actually takes 300% more damage from bomb debuffs, and that's where bomb-based champions come in clutch. One of the most famous setups in the game is the Gnishaak Verminlord one-shot strategy. The idea is genius. You use Gnishaak alongside ally attack champions, and they all gang up with his A1, stacking a bunch of bomb debuffs on Bommal in a single turn. Since Bommal takes triple damage from bombs, those explosions basically erase his health bar in one go. It's a risky setup, but when it works, it's absolutely beautiful. Now, if you don't have Gnishak or bomb specialists, there's still a sneaky way to make use of that bomb vulnerability: the deflection set. This artifact set gives your champions a 20% chance to reflect debuffs back at the attacker. So when Bommal tries to load your team with bombs, there's a chance those bombs bounce right back onto him. It doesn't just add extra damage, it also means fewer bombs ticking on your own side. It's a small bonus, but every little bit helps. And it feels so satisfying watching Bommal get a taste of his own medicine. If you've got Yumeko, she can also pull off a clever trick with her A2 Hex ability, letting your team's debuffs reflect back to the enemy, including Bommal's bombs. It's not a main strategy on its own, but paired with other offensive tools, it can make the fight much smoother. And of course, we can't forget about blessings, specifically the Brimstone Blessing. If you've got a legendary champion who's awakened and has good accuracy, Brimstone adds massive true damage against bosses. It's one of the best ways to turbocharge your offensive damage and shorten the fight. Now, if you prefer a more controlled but still heavy-hitting approach, enemy max HP champions can do wonders here too. Gnut, for example, is an absolute powerhouse. His A3 can deal up to 30% of Bommal's max HP, which chunks him down insanely fast. But, and this is important, be careful with his A1 because it reduces turn meter, and as we know, that spawns extra Dreadbombs. You can get around this by using Gnut's A1 on the Dreadbombs themselves instead. Not only will it avoid spawning more, but if your Gnut's got a way to freeze, you can even freeze those bombs and cut their explosion damage in half. So the summary here is simple. Don't drag the fight out. The longer it goes, the deadlier Bommal becomes. Bring damage reflectors like Geomancer. Exploit his bomb weakness with Gnishaak or deflection sets. Use Brimstone and max HP nukers like Gnut to speed up the kill. When you combine those tools, Bommal's so-called unbeatable fight suddenly turns into a quick and explosive takedown, just the way we like it. Alright, now that we've broken down all the strategies, let's talk about what really matters. The actual teams you can use to take down Bommal the Dreadhorn, both on normal and hard difficulty. Because, let's be honest, you can understand every mechanic in the world, but if your team comp isn't right, Bommal's just gonna blow you up anyway. So here's how you can build teams that actually work, no matter what stage you're stuck on. Normal difficulty team Turvold, Crewtraxa, Rugnor, Farakin, and Leorius. This setup is all about raw power and fast execution. On normal difficulty, Bommal's stats aren't as ridiculous, which means you don't necessarily need to overthink resistance or sustain. Instead, you can focus on melting him down before his bombs even become a problem. Let's break it down. Turvold. This guy is your main nuke. With the right buffs and setup, Turvold can delete massive chunks of Bommal's HP in just a couple of hits. His damage scales insanely well, making him perfect for ending the fight quickly. Crewtraxa. She's your single target assassin. Her ignore defense attacks absolutely tear through bosses, and she brings multi-hit abilities that help trigger ally passives and secondary effects, stacking up damage like crazy. Rugnor Goldgleam, the team's damage booster. He can sacrifice a bit of his own HP to buff the rest of the team's attack, which helps your damage dealers hit even harder. He's risky, but that's fine. On normal, you're going for speed, not survival. Farakin the Fat, your ally attack machine. He lets your whole team take bonus turns, helping you stack up hits faster and giving Turvold and Crewtraxa more opportunities to nuke Bommal. Plus, he adds weaken and HP burn, giving you some extra sustained damage. Leorius the Proud. He's your safety net and damage dealer rolled into one. Leorius can tank hits thanks to his passive that prevents death, and when his HP drops low, his damage skyrockets. Basically, the angrier he gets, the faster Bommal dies. Together, this team's entire goal is simple: kill Bommal before he kills you. There's no fancy resistance stacking or healing loop here. It's pure offense, and it works beautifully on normal difficulty. Hard difficulty. Team Royal Huntsman, Drexthar, Geomancer, Anax, and Lady Annabelle. Now this is where things get serious. On hard Bommal, the margin for error disappears. One bad turn, and you're toast. That's why this team is built to survive, sustain, and slowly burn the boss down while keeping control of the fight. Let's go through it. Royal Huntsman, your nuke option and utility champ. His A3 can ignore defense, making him great for landing heavy hits on Bommal even through his natural tankiness. He also provides some single-target consistency for when the Dreadbombs show up. Drexthar Blood Twin, one of the most popular and free-to-get MVPs for this boss. His HP burn passive triggers whenever enemies attack him, which means Bommal basically cooks self every time he takes a swing. He's tanky, reliable, and perfect for long fights. Geomancer. You already know this guy's a legend for this boss. His passive reflect damage is one of the strongest ways to hurt Bommal safely. Stack accuracy on him, keep his HP high, and he'll do the rest. Bommal melts himself down while you just watch. Anax brings debuffs like weaken, decreased defense, and poison, which help amplify your team's overall damage output. He also hits hard himself, adding that extra offensive push your team needs to close out the fight. Lady Annabelle, the glue holding the entire team together. She brings healing, cleansing, and sustain, keeping your squad alive through bomb explosions and chip damage. Plus, her kit offers self-healing and strong control potential, making her an amazing pick for drawn-out battles. This hard mode team is much more about control and counterplay than raw damage. You're not trying to blow Bommal up instantly. You're letting HP burns, reflected damage, and poison ticks slowly wear him down while your sustain champs keep everyone alive. And hey, if you haven't already, make sure to grab Raid Shadow Legends using the link in the description. It really helps the channel out. Alright, that's gonna wrap it up for this one. Hopefully now, Bommal the Dreadhorn won't feel like that impossible wall anymore. Whether you're running a resist team, a heal and freeze setup, or just going full-on Geomancer meltdown mode. If this video helped you even a little bit, drop a like, hit that subscribe button, and share it with your friends who are still getting blown up by this boss. We've all been there. I've got a ton more raid guides and team breakdowns coming your way, so stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching, good luck in your next Doom Tower run, and I'll catch you in the next one.